Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Alyssa and this is Into the Heart Wild. And today I am going to be bringing you guys my first actual book review video. I wanted to try something a little fun, have my makeup match the cover of the book. I don't know, I was already planning on putting some makeup on for the video, and I was like, well, what if I kind of channeled the book, the vibe, the cover into the makeup. So if it doesn't look good, you guys can say so. I'm a big girl, I can handle it. But anyways, that's what I thought I would try and do. I thought it'd be kind of fun if maybe for each of my little book reviews I did a matching makeup look for it. I don't know if it's something that's gonna stick. I just thought it'd be kind of fun. I also threw on my lovely cloak that I've never had the chance to wear because it also kind of vibes with the story that I'm gonna be reviewing. So anyways, let me just go ahead and tell you guys what book we're going to be talking about today. And that would be Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kushner. So I'm like, can you guys see the inspiration? There's little gold right in the center of the eyes, but you can't really see it on the camera. But this is what we were going for. The red also symbolizes the red in the book. So we'll have it. It's right there. It's right there. So I am going to do my best to make this non-spoilery, just in case anybody does want to read it. So hopefully I can manage to keep the spoilers out. If I do feel that I'm going to be heading into spoiler territory, I will say something. That way you guys will not get spoiled if you had wanted to check this out. So Midnight in Everwood is a Nutcracker retelling. I say Nutcracker because it's there are elements that do definitely say Nutcracker, but for the most part, I didn't really feel as if it was a Nutcracker retelling. I am a big fan of the Nutcracker. It is my #1 favorite Christmas related story. I love nutcrackers in general, so I don't like to say that I'm a know-it-all when it comes to the Nutcracker, because I know there are different variations for how the Nutcracker story is told. The particular one I like is when at the end the Nutcracker comes back as Drosselmeyer's nephew, and him and Marie, or sometimes Clara, end up spending the rest of their days together, because I think it's romantic. That is the version that I always like, and it involves the Rat King. There's some versions that have a Rat Queen, so there's different variations and such. But overall, it is my favorite. So when I bought this one, I bought it without doing any research on this, which is my fault. Because ultimately, because I realize I haven't said this yet, ultimately I did not like this. I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't satisfied. There was a lot of issues that really bothered me, that ruined the magical feel of the story for me. Now, when I say I did no research on this, that means I saw it on Waterstones, because this is the Waterstones exclusive edition. It's not signed, it's just exclusive. It's got these pretty sprayed edges. And when I seen it go up, I was like, oh, that's really pretty. And then I want to say the simple tagline was just a Nutcracker retelling. And I was like, purchase. Bad idea. Bad idea. Because I come to find out that it is considered a dark adult retelling. Now, I don't have any problem with retellings taking a darker route to them. Honestly, there are a lot of fairy tales out there that just in their base form are dark and twisted and have been made lighter and more whimsical. There are elements within the Nutcracker that are dark and twisted, such as, the Rat King and a man turning into a nutcracker, you know, war happening. Like, there are darker elements within it. This one was more so adult than it was dark. That was how I saw it. Especially at the end, because the end is what I really ended up not liking. There's a particular scene at the end that I just really ended up not liking. But the story starts out in, I want to say 1906, I believe that's the year that they're in. And Marietta's a ballerina, and her father and her mother are like, oh, this is your last year doing ballet because you need to get married and be a housewife, and you're already too old as it is. She's 20, about to turn 21. You know, it's that whole setting. That is the adult portion, because normally the Nutcracker takes place around like a child or whatever. So already that was like your initial setup, like, okay, so this is adult. It's going to focus around adults. You know, Drosselmeyer shows up, and instead of being the uncle, he's a nasty creepo. And I was like, oh, I don't like this already. Like, I was already just kind of like, oh. But I was like, okay, like, and honestly, because I had started reading this before I went and looked up the research behind it, because I want to say I got to about page 60 or something, where I was kind of like, the vibes are weird in this. Like, why are the vibes weird around Drosselmeyer's character like this? And not just in like I'm a magical, whimsical uncle who brings magic to you guys. It was, I'm a nasty creepo who's gonna control your life. And I was like, what is this right now? And that's when I went and looked it up and found out it was a dark adult retelling. And I was like, ew. And had I had known that, I think I would have gone in with different expectations. So that is on me. So for anyone of you who want to know, it is a dark adult retelling. So you are going to get some creepier storylines, I guess. So anyways, she gets whisked off into, you know, the world of magic. I guess that's what we'll call it. And she meets the king. And from there, the story, that's when like the whimsical part of the story is supposed to come into play. And for the most part, I think Kushner was able to grasp the idea of creating a whimsical, magical world based around sugar plums and fairies and magical dust and confection candies and such, because there was a lot of it. She definitely honed in on everything being candy, sweets, chocolate related. And while that's not a problem in general, it did become annoying after a while. It was just, you know, sugar plums this, sugar dusting this, candy this. Like, they would drink a cup of chocolate, you guys. Like, they would, it's not hot cocoa. It was not hot cocoa. It was literally a cup of melted chocolate that they would drink. And I'm like, okay, that's a take. And so it was just a lot. Like, after a while, like, it was sickly sweet because there's so much of it, and you were just kind of like, okay, like, we get it. There's marzipan, there's chocolate, there's sugar, like, we get it. And and that's fine. The writing, I think, was pretty, but it wasn't as lyrical as I think it could have been. I think it's because most of the pretty lyrical writing centered around the candy and the chocolate and the confections and the sugar portions of the story, like the food and everything. Like, a lot of the things that Marietta herself did, or any of the side characters did, they didn't feel poetic and lyrical, which is one of the things that I do kind of like associate with the Nutcracker, is a very pretty, whimsical, lyrical kind of take. And I only got that when she was talking about sugar, or she was referring to something using candy explanations. Like, Legat's eyes were constantly called butterscotch. He had butterscotch eyes. And I was like, good for him. like that was the only time it really started to feel whimsical in the writing and everything, because everything else just kind of felt like your standard just kind of writing or whatever, would have had like some pretty lines sprinkled throughout it. The elements that that really ended up turning me off from this were the adult themes. There's an orgy. Like, like it was kind of like around that moment when I was like, and I will give the author credit for like not going into detail about it. I 100% appreciate that. I've never appreciated somebody not going into detail about something. So I definitely appreciate that. It was very annoying hearing the side characters of Delara and Pralapada constantly make fun of Marietta from coming from a more conservative like world or whatever. They would constantly like poke fun at her, like, oh, you come from one of those worlds where such things are just, they're just looked down upon. Like, oh my gosh, you're so innocent. Like, I was just kind of like, okay, some people are just uncomfortable with this kind of stuff. It doesn't matter like what her raising is. Maybe it's just uncomfortable for her. But even still, if it is based around her raising, it makes her uncomfortable. Don't make fun of her for it. Like, you know, and like, I felt like there was like this attempt to build this friendship between these three women, which for the most part, it's there. But scenes like that, when the girls are like poking fun at her, you're kind of like, are they her friends or not? Like, I don't understand. So there was that. So like, there's a lot of like sexual things going on. Which, I mean, if that's your jam, if that's what you want, go ahead, because yes, there is unfortunately a sex scene in this. I say unfortunately because for me, it just tonally didn't fit with the story. And it was basically like at the end, and I was just kind of like, and that was pretty much when like my brain shut off and stopped caring, because I did read the book all the way through. But for me, I just, like, she doesn't go into grave detail about it, but it is like half a page, and there's enough detail to where I was like, this ruins, for me, it ruined the magical whimsicalness that I associate with the Nutcracker. And again, I understand that part of that is my own fault for not having done my research and being like, this is an adult retelling, so there's probably going to be adult related content with it. But sometimes, even when I think about if I had known beforehand, I still think it would have irritated me, because it's just, I don't feel it was necessary. And that's my personal view. It just didn't feel like it fit. It would have been nice if it was just like a fade to black scene, but she decided to go and give us some minor details, and I was just kind of like, fade to black would have been better. Like, I also feel like it lost its the romanticism of it, because I do like associate a softer romance with the Nutcracker, and so her like giving me these details of this sex scene just kind of ruined the romanticism for me, because I liked the not knowing aspect. I would prefer to have been like a fade to black, because I felt like for me it would have been like more romantic and more intimate. But that's me. I also felt like the slow burn romance, like at first I was rooting for the slow burn romance, because for the most part I hate instant love romance. And I was like, okay, like maybe I can get behind the slow burn thing. 67% and they still hadn't kissed. And I was like, what is this? And I was getting irritated, because I'm like, can they kiss already? Can they kiss already? And then when she finally does do the actual kiss, it was... When they finally get that first kiss, I hated the entire scene, how it played out. It was not romantic. It was not like built up to be anything. It was just like a, oh my God, I forgot. Like, to me, it felt like a, oh my God, I forgot to add in the kiss. Like, it just, and what's worse is like, before it happens, there's a scene prior to it where it would have been the perfect moment. Like, in my head, I'm like, this would have been the perfect moment for them to have that kiss, because they were like secreted away in a little garden. Like, it would have been so romantic, and it would have been so intimate and just so beautiful. And instead, this is going to be a spoiler. Because I need to explain how this happened, because it has me irritated. Instead, there's a whole scene going on, and the girls are trying to break out, and they got to get back out, and Marietta's like, oh my god, I gotta go say goodbye to Legat. Oh my god, I forgot to do that. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? You wait till the last minute to do this? Okay. And so Perlpata, one of the side characters, you know, she tells the faceless guards, she's made me mad. Take her to your captain and have her punished. So in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to take her back to his office. They take her to his private chambers. And I'm like, she's supposed to be in trouble. She's supposed to be getting punished for her fake freaking transgression. And they lead her to his private chambers where he's in the middle of changing his clothes. And I'm like, this is not romantic. This is not romantic at all. And then that's when they get to have their little kiss finally. And I was so angry. I was so angry because I'm like, the scene prior to this when they were together was so much more romantic, such a better setting, a better moment. It would have felt like it would have really hit that secretive, romantic, magical moment. And instead I get this rushed, oh my god, I forgot to say goodbye. And now I'm in his chambers. Like, where's the romance in that? It's not there. It's not there. I know that my idea of romance is completely different from a lot of other people. And a lot of people are probably like, oh my god, that's so sexy. She was taken to his private chambers. But I like a more softer, romanticized romance where like the setting is just kind of beautiful and everything feels like secreted away and it's like a magical moment, which are all elements that I associate with the Nutcracker. And this was not magical. It was not. Their romance did not come off magical. And after that, because it was just one of those things where like progressively, just the way certain elements of the story planned out, I just got progressively more and more annoyed and frustrated with it because it lost its magical feeling. Like it didn't feel like she had been whisked off to this magical place where terrible things are happening, yes, but the side portions of the story just they lost their magicalness of it. And I think it's just because of how the author decided to approach the situations, and I didn't care for the way she executed them because I thought they were a bad choice. The side characters were all fine. Nobody really stands out, honestly. The two girls, Dalara and Perlipata, like I said, I got the sister vibes that she was trying to portray and everything, but ultimately, like, there are issues that I had with both of them as well, particularly Dalara at the end. I didn't understand the choices she made at the end because she's supposed to be more powerful than the king, and she made a stupid choice. And I was like, you're supposed to be more power? Like, he's scared of you. Like, he's legitimately scared of you, which is why he locked you up. Like, you know, so there's a lot of things. There's a plot hole surrounding the Nutcracker itself, because that was the other thing. There was a lot of referencing to symbolic features of the Nutcracker in general, and that would be the mice appearing everywhere, the sugar plum fairies, obviously, this magical world, the forest, and then there's a Nutcracker. A Nutcracker appears, but then the author does nothing with it. And in the version of the Nutcracker that I prefer is when Drosselmeyer's nephew gets turned into the Nutcracker because he takes on the curse that the princess had. And that's when there ends up being the fight between the Nutcracker and the Rat King and everything. And I thought she was going to go that route because she gives us this Nutcracker. But then the character who is supposed to like symbolize the Nutcracker never turns into the Nutcracker. And so I don't understand why Marietta was given this Nutcracker, because it doesn't make sense. It felt like a plot hole, because I'm like, she's been given this item that looks like a certain person, and yet nothing actually ever happened with said character. So I don't, it felt like a plot hole, and I was like, I don't understand. There's also no Rat King. There's just a terrible king in general who's trash. and holding women as prisoners because they're his playthings, but there's no actual Rat King. Like, that was disappointing. So yeah, overall for me, it was not the story for me. If you like a retelling that isn't too much like the original and takes a lot of liberties and changes a lot of things, then this will be good for you. Also, the ending, the actual full ending, I didn't really care for. I understand the process. I understand the whole I'm liberated, I have freedom, no one can tell me what to do thing. I actually just didn't like it. So if you like a good female character who wants her freedom and eventually gets it and everything, or if you like a retelling that kind of pulls inspiration from something but isn't so much a retelling, that's great. If you like spice, I guess it's like a one chili. I've noticed the girls in the romance community use like little chilies, so it's like a one. It's like a one. You get some details, but not a lot, you know. But definitely, I think if you were to just go into this thinking it was just like a winter adult romance story, I think you would enjoy it more, honestly, instead of connecting it back to the Nutcracker. So I say if you are a big fan of Nutcracker and you like the original telling of how the Nutcracker is done, maybe don't pick this one up. Maybe don't. Unless you want to give it a try, that's up to you. But overall, writing wise, good, easy to follow. You know, it did not suck me in, I can tell you that much. I got through the first 67% through with an audiobook, and then I had to return it to the library and someone else had it, so I had to finish it myself, and it took me 2 days to pick it up and finish it myself. But that could also be because I was already having issues with it. But when I did finally sit down and read the last like 46 pages, I was able to get through it in like an hour. So yeah, that is I think everything I have to say. So I'm sorry that there was a spoiler thrown in there. I'm sorry if the review felt all over the place. This is my first time doing a video review. So if you guys have any tips for not making it sound like I'm just rambling, you're more than welcome to. If you read this book and you liked it, you can say that. If you read it and you also didn't like it, you can definitely tell me. Other than that, like the usual things, you know, if you want to see more content and if you want to see me hopefully get better at video reviews, subscribe, like, comment, all of those things, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!